All right. Thank you very much. I will start today's webinar. As I mentioned, today's webinar is purely I'll be purely concentrating on Analytical Report Manager reporting tool in MYOB Advanced, and I will try to explore its capabilities and the ways you can work with this report. Let's look at the agenda. First of all, I'll be going through with the ARM overview of what it is, how it looks like, what are the things we need to understand in this report, then what are different types of ARM report is available, and basically I will show some reports as well in a demonstration which I've created purely for this webinar session, and some important tips and tricks which will help you to design or make these reports even more efficient. So, in the overview of Analytical Report Manager, it is the reporting tool itself is only available for general ledger and project-related reports. You cannot design any sub-ledger report like a sales order report or accounts receivable invoices report in this reporting tool. It is purely for general ledger and project accounting module only. There is no separate interface for this reporting tool, and you don't need to access it from an external source unlike Report Designer. It's something built within Analytical Reports report definitions, which you can see at the bottom middle area, and it's available in the financials part of the system. Reports can be built and published in any module by using sitemaps. So if you have built a report, even though it's only for general ledger and projects, you can use the sitemap functionality, and you can actually place this report anywhere in the system. It doesn't have to be necessarily in the general ledger and in the projects module area. Basically, the report is comprised of a report definition, and it's a combination of your row set information and a column set information and unit sets. So it's like an Excel sheet where kind of an Excel interface where you have your columns, where you've got your rows, you're doing some calculations and take the values out of it. The data of the report is mainly populated through different ledgers in the system. So it can be an actual ledger, budget ledger, can be in a statistical ledger, or it could be an account class, it could be a legal account, it could be sub account, it could be branches, and if it's in project accounting module, then it could be something your project task, your projects, your account groups, or it can be your periods as well. The combination of row and column layout determines the data output and the layout of the report. I would like to excuse myself. I'm just muting everyone because I can still hear some background things. Can I request everyone to mute yourself, please, if anyone is not muted? All right. Thank you. Unit sets is a concept in Analytical Report Manager which gives you the flexibility of filtering your report data very quickly, and it can also help you to do some analysis, or it can help you to actually do some consolidation, and it's got various other benefits as well, which I would like to talk when I'm demonstrating those reports. So as I mentioned earlier, there are different types of report. So if you have if you want to design a general ledger report, basically you type the report in the report definitions. You will choose the type, whether it's a general ledger reporting or it's a project management or project accounting reporting module. And this is the way the financial report will look like, which is on the left hand side, and on the right hand side it's the projects module. So you can see that you can gather various information. You can have the year-to-date, period-to-date information, your budgets and actuals on the projects area, and you can even do some calculations. So in the report, in an analytical reporting manager, the report is comprised of 3 or 4 different sections. The first section, which you can see in this screenshot, is the report title, where you actually put your company name, your parameter values, and things like that. The column header actually talks about the names of the columns and the definitions of the columns. The report columns on number 3, which is to actually the data column, I would say, where all the data is represented. And number 4 is the description of rows. So when you're working with general ledger reports, you will have GL accounts or something like that on the left hand side. And if you're working on projects, then you might have your project task or your account groups or something similar to that in the descriptions area. So as I mentioned earlier, the report is comprised of report definition, and then under the report definition, you actually match the row set and the column set together to build a report. And then in the report definition itself, you will have lots of other formatting capabilities like your page settings, your margins, your print area, and default font style, and things like that. Now what I would like to do is I will show you the actual demonstration of reports in the screen, and I will talk to you guys about how you can design the reports, how you can use various options in the system, which will help you to get the required reports. So in the reports definition, you will see that, as I mentioned earlier, you can choose whether it's a GL or a project accounting report. Row sets is nothing but the calculation of rows for a report. So you will see this is a typical simple example which I'm showing you. So the row set code is actually comprised of your row codes, which is nothing but a row ID. Then you've got some descriptions. Then in the type, whether it's you can choose whether it's a GL, is it a caption, is it a total field, or it's a header. Values is nothing but it's to derive the code values, whether it can be calculated values or it can be formatted values and things like that. The formatting tab actually helps determine the format of the values which is going to be published. And in the data source, it's nothing but it's purely responsible for the type of data you would like to bring it in this particular row set. As I mentioned earlier, you can get the data coming from your actual ledger, your budget ledger, or your reporting ledger, or things like that. It can be an account class, or it can be an account, sub-account, branches, periods. And also you have the option to actually choose whether you want to bring in the turnover, which is like a period to date balance, your credit balance, debit balance, your beginning, ending balance, and also the ending balance is nothing but your year to date balance. And if you are in a multi-currency environment where you've got foreign currency GL accounts, you can also get the values in foreign currency as well. Style, you can choose the particular line to be bold, italic, strike through, or underline, and you can set your text align, whether it's a right intent, left intent, or center intent, or the other things as well. There are some height and intent informations are available, and also the line style, whether you want the line style to be solid, dashed, double, and all those things. And I will talk and show you about these things, how it will look like in the report. So this is roughly our row definition, and you can see that all the calculations are done a little bit similar to like an Excel, that you're calling this 0 at 0 100. It means you're calling the values of 0 100, which is this one here. If you see some sort of a calculation where you're saying that, okay, at 0 100 plus at 0 120, it means you're adding these three row values, and then you're taking it off from the 0 to 50. So basically it's actually adding this row 0 123, this row 0 175, this row, and then it's taking out your cogs from there. Okay. In the column set, it's got various information. For example, in this report, you will see that I've got multiple columns here. I've got my ending balance, then I've got my turnover balance and all those things. But let me show you a report, and then I will talk to you about that, how it's been designed and how it looks like. So the first report which I'm demonstrating to you is a simple profit and loss report, which is already available in the database, and I would like to talk that how it's been designed and the calculations behind this report. So you will see this is like a simple profit and loss report where it calculates your year-to-date figures for 2018, and then at the same time it actually calculates your year-to-date 2017 figures, which is the last year. It also calculates the percentage from last year to this year, and at the same time it's actually getting the period-to-date values as well for this year and the last year, and then the percentage it's been up to. So how exactly these values have come across in this Analytical Report Manager is something I will talk to you about. So basically, in the column set, you will see that the first column is the ending balance. It means ending balance is nothing but your year-to-date balance, and you will see that I haven't assigned any start period or end period or offset year period or offset year period as well, because what it does when you actually set up the ending balance by default, system takes the default year from your parameter and it shows the values as it is. And that's the reason I don't need to put a start period or end period or anything like that. It just, if I choose the ending balance, it knows that it needs to get the ending balance from you from the current parameter. And the parameter for this report is this one. So when I run this report, this is the actual parameter of the period, which says 03/2018, and when I just put the ending balance there, it knows that 03/2018 is the current year, and it will take the current year ending balance. The next column is the 1 year back. So I would like to have the values for an year back, which is 2017. Again, I don't need to set a start period or end period. If I use this option, which is called offset year and period, so the first column is for the year, second column is for the period. So if I want to exactly have the 2017 figures ending balance, I can simply say -1, and system will take the parameter value, which is 2018 parameter value. It will take 1 year off from it, and then it will show the values for 2017. All right. So the third column, which is to calculate the percentage between these two columns, is a simple, but just wanted to achieve the percentages of that. So you can see that the person, like you can using this, if you want to use the calculated field for this one, you can use this example. If you choose GL, it means it is to get the values from GL for that column. If you choose calc, it means it's a calculated field where you can put your calculation definition. It will give you the values based on that. Your description is nothing but if you want to get your descripted values, for example, your GL accounts name or something like that. If you're in a project accounting module, you might want to have a project task name and things like that. That's where we use the description field. So we'll see that the first one is the description field. Second one is the GL related columns. this is all the GL column. That's why it's been set to GL, and this is calculated because we are doing a calculation here. And all I'm doing is I'm actually saying B minus C, which is B column is GL, and which is 2018 financial year. Then the C column is 2017 financial year values, and then I'm dividing it by B, and I'm getting the percentages of that particular. So what was the percentage increase from last year to this year is something I'm using. So in this similar way, you can have different sort of percentages calculations, and you can take different types of options as well. You can use conversions. You can use take the benefit of these math functions, date and time, and there are lots of other options are available which you can use in this particular calculated fields area if it's something required in the system. This is the format of the column. Then this is the width of the column. I'm not going into much detail because all these things are quite self-explanatory, and which you can explore more things. But I would like to talk to you more about the reports, some other reports which have been designed and might be useful for you. So first, I would like to talk about this report, which is like an actual budget and last year. So when I print this report, you will see an overview of a profit and loss report, which is for like it's going periods like backward, because I know that in some of the companies they have a requirement that, for example, if they choose a particular month, they would like to see the profit and loss for the last 12 months, just for their analysis purposes, that how much increase or decrease they've been observed in the last 12 months. And this is an example that's how it looks like. So you can see that I've chosen the financial period as 3/2018, which is September 2018, and when I run the report, system will show periods backwards. So it's like September 2017, August 2017, and so on. Okay, so you can have a big report where you can see the values in a large scale, like for 12 months or even for more than that. But it's just a matter of fact that it will go a little bit over in terms of the page. You will see that I've got 3 different columns for each and every period. One is actual, budget, and the last year, because what I want to do is I just want to see what is my actual today, what is my budget today, and what it looked like in the last year. Accountants and the company management team would like to have such reports. And let's look at it, that how it's been designed and how we can get this thing to work. So the row set is quite common. There is nothing different as similar to other reports, but the column set would be a little bit different to other reports. So you will see that I've actually created columns for actual, for budget, and for last year. And the way I'm doing it, that for actual and budget, it's very straightforward, because I just want to call the actual ledger and the turnover, which is like period to date values. And similar for budgets, I would like to call my budget ledger and then turnover, which gives me the budget and the period to date figures for the budget. But if I want to check one last year at the same time what was the actual, then the definition will look something like this. So what I'm saying is, this is my actual ledger, and in the last year I've said it's -1, and give me the turnover values for it. So it's actually giving me exactly, if it goes 1 year back, what was my turnover or period to date values. So it will exactly give you the last year actual figures for that particular period based on current period. So in the similar way, if I check the values here, in the second column, the report is actually comprised of 1 month back, because I'm going backward, September, August, and July. The way I've mapped this report is I'm actually calling my actual ledger, which is my actual, and in the offset period, I'm saying -1. It means take the current year or take the current year and the period and -1 by period. And that's why this, if I put this definition as -1, it will give me one period backwards. So, and that is actually nothing but my August figure. In the similar way, if I want to go a little bit 2 months over, which is my July figures, I would say that offset period is -2. And so forth. So you will have -1, -2, -3, -4, and if you want it for 12 periods of time going backward, that's how it will look like. Okay, let's look at the column definition. How did I get that column definition? So what I'm doing is because I wanted to have the September, I don't want to see the periods as like 03/2018 or something like that. I want to show it as like a month name, and that's why I've chosen to show the values as like September 2018, August 2018. And what I've done is I've got this command here, which actually gets the period, then converts that period into a date, then it converts the date into a month and year format. And based on our financial year, we have to actually do some calculations to show the values appropriately. And this is the definition of this report, or I can say this column will look something like this. So, so this is for current month, which is September 2000. This is for last month. That's how it will look like. It's like -1 here, and then this is for 2 months before. This is like -2 here, which is shows here. So this is the profit and loss report, actual budget last year. Now I will talk about, for example, how you do the reporting in a cost center or a department division sort of an environment. Okay. So when I print this report, the report will look something like this. Okay. And just to let you know that I've got some sub accounts defined in my system, and those sub accounts are have got different values. So I've got the first segment as my division, then I've got second segment as my department, and my third segment as the cost center. So if you're working in a sub accounting environment, then how you can use the Analytical Report Manager reporting tool and how you can demonstrate is something I'm going to show you. So when I run the report, it will look pretty much straightforward. I've got all the sales, I've got all the row definitions on the left hand side. Then I've got different cost centers. I've got cost center A, cost center B, and cost center C. I've got my actual budget and variance between actual and budget, and I've got lots of information. So it looks pretty much similar to what I showed earlier, but there are something more into it which I'll talk to you about. Okay, you will see that I've got this particular button, which is like the groups button. It's something available in Report Designer reports as well, but this is something can be quite useful in the Analytical Report Manager. When I click this report, that groups button, you will see that I've got lots of different matrix of information, and the way I would like to see the information in this report. And this is something designed with the help of unit sets I was talking about earlier. So if I choose, so I've got 3 different matrix. I've got enterprise, I've got my divisions on the top, which is like enterprise. Then I've got this is my enterprise solution, which is my division. Practice solution, this is my another division, and small to medium enterprise, this is my another division. Under each division, I've got I've actually segregated with my different departments like engineering, experience, marketing, operations, and things like that. And when I click on this each button, system will use this unit sets as a report filtering, and what it will do, it will exactly show you the values for the combination of that sub-account structure. So when I'm clicking this particular button, I'm saying that show me all the cost center profit and loss statement for enterprise division with engineering and experience only. In the similar way, if I choose this particular option, I'm saying that show me all the values for all the cost centers specifically for my practice solutions division and marketing department. And if I do this one, it will only show the values for that particular division, which is small to medium enterprise, and it will restrict the values of the reports by sales and services. Okay, so you can use this particular unit sets to do various things. You can do multi-dimensional analysis. Either you can do it at the general ledger accounts level, or you can do this multi-dimensional analysis at a sub-account level. You can combine the values together and show. So you can see that if I click on this particular group button, it will give me a complete consolidated value of all the divisions and departments, and it's spread by cost centers. And if I choose individual, it will give me complete value of practice for that individual division. So there are lots of use for this unit set concept. There are lots of use for it, and you just need to understand that how you're going to analyze and design this report designer, which is like an easiest way to deliver what customers are looking for. Okay, so let's have a look at how this report is being designed. So row set is common in the column sets. I've got, I've actually chosen the the report columns as like, my actual ledger, and then my cost center A, cost center, like I've narrowed down the values by different cost centers. And this is the way I'm actually narrowing it down. So I'm choosing budget ledger, and I'm choosing sub account as cost center A or cost center B or cost center C. And this is how all my column layouts are designed. But at the same time, let's look at the unit sets, which is the important part of this report. When you click on this unit sets, you will see that I've designed this unit sets with some definitions. So I'm saying in the group is comprised of all the codes, which is like enterprise, practice, and small to medium enterprise. Then in the enterprise, I'm saying that then I've like for that particular division, like engineering and experience for enterprise, marketing with enterprise, operations and support with enterprise, and so forth. And the way I'm doing it is through the data source of this unit sets. So I'm saying that my start sub account is enterprise solutions, and then this EE is engineering and experience, and I'm just listing that particular unit set line to those sub accounts, and that's the way I'm filtering the report. So in the similar way, if I go further, you will see that for each and every node or each and every unit set group, I've actually created multiple unit set nodes, and each and every unit set node has got some report filtering values, and system is smart enough to actually filter the reports based on those sub accounts or unit sets, and then segregate the reports by individual cost centers by taking the help of column layouts. Okay, so there are lots of benefits for it, and it's just a matter of fact that how you're going to utilize this unit sets is something quite tricky, and it can be quite useful where people would like to do like multiple, multi-dimensional analysis, like sales by product, or what is my ratios and this and that. So this can be quite useful. Next report I would like to talk to you about is my I've designed the report, which is like a profit and loss intercompany report, and how it will look like is something I'll show you. So this is the way the report is look like. So I've just taken my company as the example. So I would like to see, like in my intercompany environment, I would like to see my MYOB Australia region actual. Then I've got an entity which we have bought like a pay corp. I would like to see that how my pay corp is going through, and is because we do intercompany transactions. I've got some eliminations set up in the system which I would like to take off separately, and I would like to see what are exactly my eliminations. And I've got then the fourth column is because I've got MYOB NZ as well, which we own 100% equity, but just for this example, I'm taking a 45% equity. So I would like to see that how my MYOB NZ 45% share looks like. It can be useful when your company are in a minority equity, that doesn't hold the 100% equity, and it's less than 50% or something like that. Then how you can show that particular company values in a profit and loss with that particular percentage, and then at the end you've got the consolidated values. So I would like to show you that how this report is designed, which will help you to understand how we can achieve these things. So once again, in this report, the row sets will be pretty much common, and I would like to show you the column sets, how it's been designed and how it will look like. So the way it's designed is, okay, so I've got different branches set up in the system. So MYOB AU is like a one branch, which is like I'm using that branch accounting concept to represent MYOB AU as one branch, and then PayCorp as a second branch. So what I'm doing is I'm just calling out the actual ledger, and then I'm choosing the branch as main, which is my MYOB AU, and then amount type as turnover. So it means in a branch accounting environment, I will see MYOB AU values, and then I will see the period to date values. The second one, which is my PayCorp company. I'm using the branch option as well, and then I'm saying that's how my sub accounts will look like, and I've got the period to date values and things like that. So it's pretty much common in nature. Then I've got a third value which is the actual eliminations. And for that elimination, because those eliminations are recorded in my MYOB AU ledger, I've just chosen the branch as main, which is my MYOB AU, and ledger as actual. But it's got something more into it, which I will talk to you about, that how it will look like, that how you can have the eliminations working. And then the third one is this is the 45% share I was talking about, which is coming from the MYOB NZ, that how it will look like. Okay, and then the consolidated value. Okay, so basically, in order to show this, I believe this is not showing the appropriate. This is not giving you the exact results, but the concept is, if you have the NZ ledger stored in the system, you can actually choose that ledger, which is something like this, which is like NZ company, and then you can actually say that show me all the values in NZ company, and then all I'm saying is I'm just storing it in a column. You can hide the column, and then you can say that take that column and then get the 45% value out of that column, and that is the way you can actually show your the minority equity reporting for that. And then if you want to see the consolidated values, all you're saying is B plus E minus T, or you can say B, because it's just a matter of adding multiple columns. So you're saying whatever the values are in B, which is your AU ledger, what are the values in E, which is your NZ ledger, and whatever is there, and then eliminations as well. So how I designed the elimination is something I would like to talk to you about. So basically, eliminations will play a role when you have something like this. So you will see that I've got two accounts set up in the system, which is like intercompany income and then intercompany expenses. what I've done is, because I only want to show these eliminations in a specific column, I've actually used this column group definition, and I've actually given a definition to all the columns. So whatever values I want to see on all the columns, I've just like coded it as all, and something like that. But specifically for my intercompany expense and then intercompany revenue, I haven't chosen any column group. So by doing this, if I go into my column set area, then what I'm doing is I'm actually saying that show me the printing group for all for this particular row, which is my MYOB AU. Then this is Paycorp, and then this is for my minority equity company and the consolidated. So I'm saying show me all the rows wherever the code is been set up as all, but not for eliminations company. And when I do that, system actually knows that it will not show all the values from all the columns, but it will show only the columns which hasn't been set as a column group. And that's the way I'm actually segregating it. Okay. So once again, if you print this report, you will have the values, your MYOB AU. Actually, it's not Paycorp, it's actually MYOB NZ. I just missed to put the name there. But yeah, so that's your MYOB AU, MYOB AZ, MYOB NZ. Full profit and loss will look like this. Then you've got eliminations between MYOB AU and MYOB NZ, and then your percentage share of that MYOB NZ with like 45% share. But my apologies, this Paycorp supposed to be MYOB NZ. And then you got the consolidated values, which is like MYOB AU plus your MYOB NZ 45% share minus your eliminations, and that's why and that's how the column has been set up. Let me show you one quick one as well, which is called financial analysis. So you can use the Analytical Report Manager to do some of your financial analysis as well. And the way we do it, like I've just got a very simple example here, which talks about financial and how you can do it. So you will see that in my first first section, I've got my sales values and number of employees, and I'm just doing an analysis. What is my revenue per employee? Okay, so I know that I can get the sales values easily by using the Analytical Report Manager, but how can I get the employee values? Okay, to see that I've got 40 employees and per employee I've got this much of revenue, and that's where I'm using the statistical ledger. I've created a ledger called analysis, and it's because I've got that statistical ledger, I can actually create different set of GL accounts which has got non-financial information, and I can use that information to do some calculations for my financial analysis. So if you see that I've got this analysis and I've posted 2 journals under the statistical ledger, and I've said that I've got an 80,000 account and 80,001 account. One account I'm using it for number of employees. Second one I'm using it for average inventory turnover, because that's something I'm using for another calculation. So I've posted a $40 debit for that number of employees. So whenever my employee number increases or decreases, I will post the values, and then I will put it as a debit or a credit, and then that's how I'll manage the employee number. And then and you can use it for various other purposes. So in this financial analysis, I'm getting my sales values as per normal, but I'm getting the number of employee values from my statistical ledger. In the similar way, I'm using various other calculations, my working capital, and my current ratio as well, by doing some calculations. And I'm also doing some analysis by average sales per month. I'm just getting the sales values together and I'm dividing it by 12, and also my inventory turnover ratios. So you can use the Analytical Report Manager to financial analysis as well, and this is like a simple example, but you can explore further to work on that. Okay. The sales by division, if you want to have a report where you would like to see the percentages of different cost centers, different departments or divisions, or any other elements, you can use this type of report. You can do some calculations which will show you the values in that way. And the way it's done is actually, so for financial analysis, I would like to show you that how it's being done, just for an understanding quickly. So for financial analysis, I'm actually doing all my calculations in my reporting on my row layout as well, because column layout will not work for this because it's got specific values in individual rows. So this is the way I'm getting my actual ledger sales values and then turnover, and then in order to get the number of employees, I'm actually getting my analysis ledger, which is my statistical ledger, and the account, which is the 8,000 account for to store the number of employees, and then I'm doing a calculation here, and I'm saying at 100 divided by 120. So I'm taking this, and then I'm dividing it by number of employees that way. So in the similar way, I've done few calculations. So you can do calculations both in row layout and column layout. And I will share all these reports in the community forum, and you can take the you can look into these reports and take the definitions out of it for your own understanding. And if you want to use it, you're more than welcome to do that. And the last report is something I would like to talk to you about, is the project summary report. So if you're in a project accounting environment, you can have your project task on the left hand side, your budget and actual figures on the column layouts. You can calculate your profit and loss by taking budget minus actual and see that how you're tracking in terms of that. And you can put some emotions as well, like you can see that just I was doing some testing and identified that we can put some like icons if you want to show something in a good or bad way. I haven't explored much, but you will see that if a particular line is not met, then I can show the emotion in that way, and then maybe I'll say that now it hasn't met the KPI and things like that. So you can use pretty much on that one, and I'll quickly show you that how this particular report is designed. So for my project reports, if I choose my project report, which is so my row set looks something like this. So I'm choosing my revenue, and I'm taking the data source as a revenue account group, which is my project account group. Then for all other things, like for my labor, I'm taking the account group labor, and for material, subcontracting, and overhead. So all this pretty much information is pretty much stored in row layouts. As I mentioned earlier, for projects, you can have your start account. You can use your account groups, your project, your tasks, or inventory or periods to restrict the reports, or you can use the combination of these data sources to put the row layouts. In the column layout, this is how I'll put together the information. So I'm actually saying get all the values of my particular project for 12th period, which is my, like I'm taking the end period and then saying get the budgeted values, and then in this one I'm saying 12th period and I'm getting it from actual values. This is my profit and loss, which is a calculated field where I'm saying C minus B. C is actual, B is my budget, and then for my those small icons, I'm using an if condition. So I've used this if condition and said, okay, if in this case, if this is revenue, if it is greater than this much, greater than this much, then show me, like a happy face or not happy face and things like that. And we can explore more things if we have like a green symbol and a red symbol, if something is getting meet or not or something like that. In this one, I'm using this tick button and cross button. If a particular line or a particular project task is been met with this met with the budget or not. So I'm using this particular options. So I'm saying if it's not met, then show me X, but if it met, it show me like a green tick. So you can take the benefit of those things as well in the Analytical Report Manager. So as I mentioned earlier, I will be putting all the reporting examples in the community forum, so you can download it and you can use it for your own purposes. I know that I went a little bit over in the meeting, but I hope you find this webinar useful. And before I go back, I just want to talk to you about some quick tips and tricks. So the tips and tricks are, please use the easy naming convention for report definitions, row set and column sets and unit sets, which will help you to identify the reports very quickly. Copy the report and take the backups regularly before modifying any existing report. And if you're designing a big report, make sure you manage the backups in multiple levels. Otherwise, it's very hard to troubleshoot something if you find you're designed for like 8 hours and then you find some problem at a later point of time. It's very hard to troubleshoot. It would be good if you manage the backups when you're working with a big report. It takes a lot of time. Reserve row codes. So when you're designing the reports in your row layout, make sure you reserve some codes. Otherwise, if it says 100 and then 101, you will never have the chance to insert any codes in between, and that can have an impact in your reporting requirements and your reporting style. Keep all the sorting conditions together. You can save some parameters in the report just for a quick to run a report quickly. Otherwise, you have to choose the report parameter each and every time to run a report for testing and purposes. You have to use the appropriate data sources for to aggregate the data, like account classes, your group of accounts, ledgers or branches, or project accounting data sources. In Analytical Report Manager, you it doesn't consider the account type, like as an income or expense or something like that, and everything shows up in a positive sign. So if you want to show like negative signs for your expenses or your liabilities, you have to use like some formulas, and